Cruise Fest is back. The 2-day rock and roll party leading up to the original Kiss cruise will be on October 27th and 28th in the City of Angels, Los Angeles, California. Proudly brought to you by Kiss Rum, Kiss Cold Gin, and Yamaha. Day 1 festivities will be a Bon Voyage party held at the host hotel, the Doubletree in San Pedro, hosted by the one and only DJ Noise. Party with your fellow cruisers while Noise spins the tunes and mingle with our special musical guests. Then stay for the Cruise Fest Comedy, Punchlines and Backlines comedy show produced and hosted by Courtney Cronin-Dole. Featuring one of Hollywood's funniest rock and roll comedians, plus a Kiss Army fan favorite headliner and a special guest rock star doing their first stand-up comedy set. Day 2 features a 5-band live show at the historic Yost Theater featuring tribute bands Fair Warning and Dress to Kill, along with the Iron Maidens and headliners Slaughter. Plus, a special performance by the original members of Fraley's Comet, Todd Howarth, John Regan, and world-renowned drummer Anton Fig. All this, plus charity raffles generously sponsored by Sixth Man. Don't miss this exciting event. Start your rock and roll vacation off at the only party in town, Cruise Fest. That's Cruise Fest with a K.
My friends, and welcome to episode 71 of the Kiss Army Nation podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Pasquale Veri.
And I am Claudio Spera. Welcome to the show, everyone.
Today's guest is someone I call a friend. We worked together on the Rockin New Years Bash back in 2016 and 2017 right here in Montreal. He worked with our very own Patrick Demontigny on his book, Let the Cat Out of the Bag. He is a bass player extraordinaire who has worked with Peter Criss and has received a multi-platinum record as a member of Five for Fighting. On today's episode, we're going to catch up with an old friend. Kiss Army, please welcome Mark Montague.
Hey, Mark.
Welcome, my friends.
Thank you for having me, for sure. It's good to see you guys again.
Hey, Mark, let's get the show going. I'm interested in hearing more about your relationship with Patrick. So how did the two of you meet?
Well, we met on one of the Peter Criss tours. Probably early on, I'm going to guess. Maybe the first or second one, or the second half of the first one. I don't know. Strike that, reverse it. We'll see. Anyway, we met, and he was, a great guy, and we kind of hit it off a little bit. And then, we kept in touch a little bit here and there. But then when I was going to do the book, I thought about doing it. I called him up to get, see what he thought, if he thought it was a good idea or not. And he obviously did think it was a good idea, and so away we went. I got a one-way ticket to Montreal and then ended up in Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu.
So, Mark, you mentioned and actually Pascal was mentioning in the introduction, the book, let the cat out of the bag. Can you tell us more about that experience?
It's the hardest thing I ever attempted.
Really?
Yeah, well, while other guys we know were getting ghost writers and professional writers to do theirs, I was like, I'll write this myself, and that proved to be pretty hard. It was maybe a couple weeks before the deadline we had set. I started reading some of what I wrote, and it was like, I went to the store, and then, oh my God, who wrote this? A lot of that happened, you know. You know, I did my best, so I'm proud of that, you know, and I actually I'm doing the follow up to it. I'm doing an addendum to the Let the Cat Out of the Bag.
Oh, nice,
Yeah,
nice,
there's a couple
nice.
of things I didn't intend to leave cliffhangers, but I guess I left a couple cliffhangers. So I wanted to you know, let everybody know what happened when I went to Peter's house back in 2016, and that experience was quite fun. So yeah.
Oh man, you're gonna tell us about it. So,
Yeah, oh yeah.
you know, Pat, he's a really important member of the Montreal Kiss Army, and he has organized several expos and introduced us to several key players in the Kiss camp, including Bill O'Coin, Mark St. John, Bruce Kulick, and of course you, which we have the pleasure to be with you today. So how was Patrick helpful in making your book a reality for you?
Well, he was basically instrumental. I mean, I asked him everything. Any question I had, I ran it by him. And I'll tell you, you know, we've talked a little bit since you know, it came out and that type of thing. But when I was out there the second time, I think I went to Quebec or something to do the convention up there.
Yeah.
Patrick's dad was dying, and they invited me into his hospital room. You know, the family, and then there I am, and I was just blown away. You know, his father's dying, and you know, I'm there. I mean, that's pretty.
Wow.
I mean, I'm honored. You know, honored.
Well, part of the family, right? So this is more
Well,
more than friendship. You know, it's family.
It's beyond friendship. Yes, I mean, for that, you know, and his mom was great, and just, you know, I still get teared up a little bit thinking about it.
Wow.
It's a tough day for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, and to this day, I thank Patrick because it's through Patrick that we met you, and
Right, exactly.
and we invited you to the Rockin New Year's Bash here in Montreal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That was like in a huge hall. We had a tribute band. We had you there. Tons of food and tons of people. What an amazing, historic experience.
That was a special night, indeed.
It was definitely special. You know, you put on a great, you know, show, man. It was awesome the way you helped put it together, and the next year too. It was wonderful.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk more about that a little bit later in the show. But you know, right now I want to talk a little bit more about you because, Mark, the last time you and I talked was back in the New Jersey Kiss Expo. It was that 3-day expo with Ace Frehley. I don't remember if it was 2017, 2019, around that time. Time just flies for me now, at my age.
Hey, like I said, you know, if I start telling a story and say it was 2 weeks ago, add 10 years.
That's right.
You know?
So one thing, Mark, I know about you is that you are someone who never stops. You always have something in the back burner. So do you have any upcoming projects? Anything Kiss related?
Well, Kiss related, sure. I mean, I'm doing the new addendum to Let the Cat Out of the Bag. That's one, and I'm also working with a singer, Brandon Lofton from Lubbock, Texas.
Okay.
And I think I sent you a copy of the cover that we did for his record of She. He's well, let me just put it this way: he's the only singer I've ever worked with that is never late. He never missed a day. He never complains. He'll try anything, and they call him disabled. We're all disabled, trust me. He shows me how to do it every time. But this guy has some lungs that it's just incredible. I'm not saying he's the best singer, but he shows everyone how to do it, including me. You know, I was there in Texas with him for a year, the last year of, it was September to September of last year. And he just, you know, was amazing. And I can't wait for you guys to hear some of it, especially She, man. You're gonna, pretty sure you're going to like it.
What's this? Is this part of an upcoming CD that's coming out, or?
Oh yeah, he already we've done 2 CDs.
Okay.
Third, and you know, he's I mean, let's put it this way: he'll live at home the rest of his life. He's just, but he shows when you see him live, it's amazing. So there'll be a concert in 2024. Will be the next show that we do. It'll be a party in Texas. You guys are invited, of course. Should come down and check him out because he's something else. But I'll definitely send you some tunes. I mean, he's just, you know, like I said, he never complains. Oh, he got a smile on his face. And then we did a cover of Michael Jackson's "Bad," all right? And so he was doing the vocal and he sang a little bit, you know, and I'm like, you know, Brandon, we need to get some more emotion out of you, right? So he turns his back to me and the microphone for about 30 seconds, turns back around and goes, "All right, go." And it was like an actor putting himself into the mode. I mean, I couldn't believe it. It was so great.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like I said, you know, I've been doing this a long time, and you know, he's been writing stuff for a long time, but he's new to the studio basically. Well, not anymore, but he just shows me how to do it every day, man. Shows me how to do it. Because one thing he also does is he completely releases. I mean, he lets it go, you know. It's like Forrest Gump running out of the stadium, you know what I mean? He just keeps on going, and that's actually the first time I met him. When he came to the studio, he walked in and said, "What do I do?" And I said, "You have to release, man. You got to release." And he did this scream, and it was like, "Whoa, my God, that's what releasing is." Yeah. So he's great. I'm doing that. I'm also doing a thing here in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I got a few shows coming up, one next week and then a couple after that at some nightclubs. Just going there, got a guitar player, and I'll play my hybrid thing here, and we're going to jam. So yeah,
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, Mark, before the show, you said you promised us something special. And I have a feeling you're holding that something special in your lap right now. Can you tell us about it?
This is my brainchild of I wanted to be able to play bass and guitar without switching instruments, you know, because I found myself on stage a lot and I want to just start doing guitar. So this is my hybrid. It's a bass and a guitar in one. And you got your bass aspect here.
That sounds amazing. Look at that.
So there's your bass part, a little dazed and confused there. And then we just, flip it right over to guitar and we've got...
Whoa.
Whoa.
And there you have it. Now,
Fantastic.
That's incredible, man. That's awesome.
Cool, right? I mean, they sound totally great. Yeah. Then we could go a little further and go with them both, which is kind of wild.
Are you serious? Oh, wow.
So there you go. My crazy.
Oh my God.
Come up with, man. So there you have it.
Oh my God. I don't want to, sorry, Pascal, I don't want to go into technicalities, but I can understand that the settings for the bass and for the guitar, they're quite different. But how do you do it when you play together? How do you mix it? This is incredible.
Yeah, it's actually not that difficult. I've got an AV box down here, right? So I've got a subwoofer is for the bass, and I've got the Marshall for the, I probably could show you on camera.
Okay.
I've got the Marshall for the guitar. It's actually pretty simple, pretty small. Here, let's see if we can move this around. You get a shot of it there.
Oh, I see. Right.
Okay.
There's the Marshall. There's the sub. Kind of. You're kind of seeing it anyway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that's it. And so I've got a little pedal, an octaver pedal for the bass to bring that low out of the sub. And there it is. I mean, it's not really that difficult. It came out pretty good, I think. So And I'm still messing with strings. Do I use guitar strings? Do I use bass strings? And I've got a couple bass strings on and a couple guitar strings on is what I got on there now. So.
Wow, that's incredible. That's amazing.
So Mark, is this something where you had like specifications in your head, and then based on those specifications, you created this guitar?
All in my head, yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, the first one I was messing around with others. I tried to go with an acoustic. I put a Les Paul pickup in there and ruined that guitar. So then I went on with this one. I went and ordered a cheap one online, and just went for it. Yeah, it made some alterations and stuff in here, and it's a guitar pickup with a lot of bass on it, and
okay.
Yeah, so yeah, it all just was in my mind. I wanted to be able to do both when I'm up there playing, because I found myself playing solo a few times, like at the Bash.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You sent me a link from the 2017 Bash, and I had told you to hold off on that because I thought it was awful. And you sent me that, and you can put it out. It's not great, but it's not as bad as I thought it was. All right, you told me that at the New Jersey convention. I remember you saying that. No, it's pretty good. I'm like, what?
No, and I'm not just saying that because we're talking to you face to face here. I truly enjoyed it, and you could ask anybody who was at the party. I was like, whoa, this is amazing. While you were playing up there.
Right. I remember what happened was I couldn't really hear what was going on, and so I didn't end up doing a couple of the Peter Criss songs I wanted to do, The Truth and Good Times. But that's where I thought it all fell apart. But it's not so bad. You can't really see it, what the bad part of it. I see it, but it's really not as bad as I thought, like you told me.
Right. We tell our students, and I'm a high school teacher, right? And we tell our students when they do a show, if they make a mistake, don't make it obvious that you made a mistake because no one knows. You just continue going.
Just keep going. That's right. Keep going.
If you're playing, your original music. Now, on the other hand, if you're doing something that maybe is more popular, then you do it twice to say that I meant to do that.
Right. But I'm not implying that you made a mistake. What I'm saying is that you went up there, you just jammed, and it was just it came from the heart, and I think that's why the fans enjoyed it so much.
The fans are always great to me. They always are, and again, it was more that I really wanted to deliver a couple Peter Criss songs to them, and that's what I didn't end up doing. But next time, next Bash.
I hope so. I hope so.
There you go. So, Mark, now that you have that fantastic, guitar, bass guitar, I don't know how to call it. Can we go a bit deeper on your story? So, how did you become a bass player? What inspired you to pick up the bass?
All right. Well, I started in the orchestra in 4th grade playing cello. I played that up until 8th grade, in the summer of 8th grade before high school. In that summertime, a buddy of mine gave me an electric bass, and I learned how to play it. And it's going to date me, and you guys may not even know. It's a television show back in the 70s called Barney Miller.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, the theme is great bass lines. So I spent that whole summer figuring out how to play that thing, and then high school comes, and I'm the guy who can play Barney Miller. So yeah. So and
that's how it happened.
Yeah, and from there it just was, this is what I'm going to do. I do it for sure, and actually then in junior year of high school I took the proficiency test and graduated early and went to LA and went to music school.
I'm interested to know, first, what are your musical influences and how did those influences inspire you as a musician?
Let's see. Well, influence-wise, man, Pink Floyd has always been, ever since I took my sister's record. I took The Dark Side of the Moon from her, and it just was, lyrically inspiring. I mean, when I went to music school, I kind of became a snob, I would say. They kind of that was kind of like the cry at school was 3 chords is no good, right? And I was stupid enough to follow that along for a while. But then when I heard Back in Black on the radio, I went, you know what? this is darn good, you know. So I like all music now. There's really rarely something that I don't like because I can hear what's in it, you know, and I don't put any of it down now. It's all good. I may not go out and buy it. You know, I've got an example there for you. The Grateful Dead, okay? I've never really been a fan of the Grateful Dead. I thought, you know, what the heck's wrong with me, man? People give up their life to, you know, to follow these guys on tour. What am I missing? What the heck am I missing? And then I read an article on Garcia, and he says, you know, we get out there on stage, and nobody knows what we're going to do. We start a song, and heck, nobody knows when the guitar solo is going to end. And he goes, a lot of times, probably more than half, it's a big train wreck, and it just blows up. But he goes, the other times are magic, right? And I get that now. Those guys are willing to show their ass, and that's authenticity, you know what I mean? And that's what it is. So that's where I'm at now. I'm working on being able to show my ass. I'm not sure I'm ready yet. Ready.
So, Mark, was one of your influences Kiss as well, or were you just a Kiss fan?
Yeah. Absolutely. I went to my first concert, Kiss concert, was my second concert. I went to Elton John in '76. Then in '78, I went to Kiss at the Cow Palace. You know, I had the big poster of all four of them, that 8-footer, all four of them on the wall. And yeah, I mean, I loved Kiss. It was awesome. I just, you know, I loved, you know, in all honesty, Gene was my favorite. The blood and the fire and all that, loved it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was definitely an influence for quite a while. I kind of tapered off after Dynasty. I saw that tour as well at the Cow Palace.
Okay.
And I remember being at that tour, looking at Peter Criss's drum set, going, does he get a brand new drum set every show? Now I know that's the drum tech who shines it all up. So,
right.
Yeah, definitely them. And then, you know, once I got into music school, I got progressive. It was Rush and Alan Holdsworth and, you know, the Tubes and anything that was complicated I was really into. Dream Theater, stuff like that.
Okay.
And Geddy Lee was amazing, too. My roommate at the time, I hadn't seen them live yet, and I went to it wasn't Moving Pictures, it was the tour after that one. And my roommate told me, he goes, you know, Geddy Lee plays with one finger. And I'm like, what? No way. He can't do all that with one finger. And I had, you know, third row seats right in front of him. And not only does he play with one finger, he'll then take that hand and go play keyboards, this hand with hammer on the bass, Taurus pedals with his feet, and sing those incredible lines that he sings. I've never seen anything like it. He's unbelievable. Definitely unbelievable. Yeah. So here's one more. 1984 is Prince and Purple Rain. I'm not a big fan, don't really care so much, you know, yeah, okay, I like that song, whatever. But a girl asked me, she goes, I got tickets to the tour, the Purple Rain tour, you want to go? I'm like, nah, no, I don't want to go. She talked me into going. The day we went, I've got a bad attitude, I don't want to go, I really could care less. We get to the Forum, and she's got the worst seats in the house. We're all the way in the back, up at the top. I'm behind a pillar, right? I'm sitting there like this. Oh, jeez. Is this, you know, get this thing over. By the end of that show, he's the best concert I've ever seen. Yeah, it's one thing to be taken over in the front row. But when you're in the back like that with a bad attitude, that dude was, to this day, the best show I've ever seen.
Yeah. So, Mark, we also know as Kiss fans that you worked with Peter Criss. How did that come about?
Oh, yeah. Another good story. Let's see here. I was playing in my band around town. We were doing pretty good, the Sick Puppies, and I had several other projects I was in. And Ray Carrion, the first guitarist in Criss, he called me up and he said, hey, my buddy Bob Nelson, he's Peter Criss's road manager. He said, Peter Criss fired his whole band and he needs a band. You want to go? I was like, yeah, okay, sure, why not? Yeah, I'll go. You know, I always liked Peter Criss and his drumming, you know, and whatever. I was like, sure. So we got down there, and I remember walking in the studio. I had my guitar, and brought it in, sat it down, and Peter was behind the drum kit playing, and Phil Naro was there, rest his soul. And so I walked in, put my guitar down, and he just kept playing Peter Criss. I walked back out to my car to get my amp, and I see out of the corner of my eye somebody's running at me, and it's Bob Nelson. And he gets up to me and goes, Peter wants you in the band, man. I'm like, but I haven't even played yet, like an idiot. But he goes, no, you're the guy. He said, you're the guy. You're in. And so I was hired before I ever played a note. And then when I walked back in is when we wrote, I had the music idea for Bad Reputation, and I played it, and he started 3 o'clock in the morning, and that's how that song happened. It was the first thing we ever did.
Together, oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah,
what a story.
That thing, and he just right in and then started singing about the Star magazine.
So overall, what were your experiences working with Peter Criss?
Oh man, it's the best of the best, and I learned a ton. I mean, like I said, I was kind of at that mode. I was really in progressive, so really complicated stuff. But I would practice it, you know, just to get it perfect, quote unquote perfect, and you know, that always served me well. But I noticed I started looking at, you know, Peter, and I'd be like, he plays different all the time. And he plays based upon his emotions at the time, right? And that has turned me into now, I value the first way I was with technically and all that stuff and perfection, blah, blah, blah. But there's a perfection, like the story about the Grateful Dead, there's perfection in imperfection, you know? And that Peter Criss was, it's like, they say now, oh my God, he's got to be able to bury the click, and it's got to be perfectly all, you know, tempo all the way through. What happened to tempo fluctuating is a good thing, you know, because it shows emotion. And I remember Peter on some nights, he'd be playing happy, he'd be happy, so it'd be happy drums. He did angry night, it'd be angry drums. You know, melancholy drums. He had them all. And I mean, that's really what the biggest stuff I got from him was that. And I compare him to other drummers, and you know, Eric Singer's great. He's a great drummer. I would call him more technical. Eric Carr, fabulous too. He can beat the shit out of those drums, but neither one of them can play like Peter has the swing and the tempo fluctuation. See, I know it became an issue for the guys in KISS there for a while, I guess, Gene and Paul, that tempo was fluctuating and all that. I'm like, man, that's what made the stuff back in the day. You know, drumming made so many of those songs, man. I mean, playing the cha-cha and deuce, who would have thought of that?
Yeah. And there's only a few, you know, there's not many musicians who can actually reflect emotions, you know, through the instruments. And Peter, you know, in the drums, it's so difficult, but he's the guy.
Yeah, and you are very correct about that, and especially the drums. That is definitely a difficult instrument to do that on, you know. But he definitely does, and to me, that's why, you know, the first 3 records were what they were. But when Alive came out, that was really that's really the stuff, you know. Because I know Peter was always governed in the studio. I know he was governed, you know. You got to play it straight, you know. But live, he just let loose on that stuff, and it's just, you know, it went to a new level, obviously.
Mark, let me touch on some other band that you were part of. You were a member of the award-winning Fight for Fighting. Can you tell us more about that group, and how did you get involved with the band?
A buddy called me one day and he said, hey, there's this band in the Music Connection. That's what we used to look into for jobs and music jobs and such. And there's this band, they're supposed to be really good. They're looking for a bass player. Are you going to go audition? He asked me, and I'm like, well, I don't know. Are you going to go? And he goes, no, I'm not going, man, because the ad says you got to be 35 years old or younger. And I was like, what? Dude, I was 36 at the time. He was 37. I said, dude, are you nuts? Are you crazy? You know what? I'm going to drive 200 miles down to that audition, and I'm going to get the gig just to show you that how absurd you are. And I went down, and that was Fight for Fighting. So at the time I joined, there was no record deal or anything, but it was a foregone conclusion we were going to get one. The singer, John, he's great, man. I mean, he's really good, and he writes the tunes and whatever. So we had a showcase in New York City. So we flew out to New York, and all the labels were supposed to come to the show we did, and they did. All the labels were there. We killed it, had a great show, went back to L.A., and 3 months later, nothing. And I call up John's, I call John, but his wife, I get his wife, and I'm like, yeah, so what's going on? Are we going to do, work again? What's going on? And she goes, well, John's real depressed. He didn't get a deal, so he's thinking about giving it all up and going back to work at the shopping cart factory with his dad. Okay, because that's where we rehearsed. Downtown LA had this big factory that made shopping carts. And I was like, wow, okay, that's, oh boy, that sucks, Anyway, so I don't know, a few weeks later, John called me. He goes, okay, listen, we got this shitty deal on a brand new label. We got to use this producer who's done nothing. We have to work midnight to 6, so the bad hours. And, what do you think we should do? Sign the deal, I screamed. Sign the deal. So, yeah, I mean, that's what you got to do. So he signed it, and we worked, midnight to 6 in the morning, recorded the record, and then it came out, kind of just not doing much. And what happened then was 9/11. And the first single became the 9/11 song. John went to New York by himself with his piano and had a cellist. Not me. He had a cellist out there, and he played the song Superman, and it became the 9/11 song, and then went on to sell 7 million records.
Wow.
But it was that close to not happening several times, you see. There's got to be, a lot of things have to line up, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a good story. I like it. And now, obviously, he's done, I don't know, 7 or 8 records by now, and he's did very well for himself. I hadn't talked to him in quite a while, and he was playing a show in Massachusetts last week, and so I emailed him and said, hey, John, I got my sister out there. My sisters, they're big fans, and, maybe you could get him a couple tickets to the show, and he writes back, done. Yeah, that was cool.
So, Mark, through our talks and also after, reading your book, I know that things always haven't been easy for you. And, I said it years ago, and I'll say it again. It always amazes me about you. The one thing that amazes me about you is that despite all of that, you always keep a positive attitude, no matter what. Now, do you believe that it's that positive attitude that helped you survive in the music industry?
It's partially that, but I think it's more eliminating the negative is more important than actually being the positive. Mm-hmm. And it's funny you mentioned that, because we were supposed to do this interview a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I was having all sorts of trouble with my, the internet, my gear, and the whole thing. And I found myself a little, I wasn't too happy. You know what I mean?
You weren't too positive.
Yeah, I wasn't so positive, that's for sure. In fact, there were a few expletives in there that were definitely not positive. But, and that's okay too. You got to let that happen, and then you get rid of it and move on, But, and thanks to you guys, we're here doing it, and we're able to reschedule. Yeah, because I was, I got to reboot, you guys are all waiting. That was funny. But yeah, generally speaking, man, I think you got to, eliminate the negatives is really more important than going around spouting a bunch of positive stuff, which is good too. But, it's when you start being negative that you bring more of that in, I think. Yeah, it's the way you look at it, It's like you could say, I don't have this, don't have that, or you could say, I have this and I have that, So.
Mm-hmm.
Are you willing to share a story from your book of how you overcame such an obstacle?
Yes. Okay, here we go. So when I joined back in 1990, we were rehearsing, and we did a lot of rehearsing. We did a couple of demo tapes and didn't get a deal or anything, but we had our first show coming up at Exposure 54 in Hollywood. And Bob Nelson was the manager, tour manager at the time or whatever. And we did the show. A good show. Peter Criss always has fans wherever he goes. It was, packed house, and they loved it. But a few weeks later, I'm like going, so Bob, what's going on? What are we going to do? And he was like, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? And so I called a friend of mine. She was a secretary at William Morris, and she gave me the name of a booking agent, Steve Green, who handles, older style acts and, perfect for Peter Criss. And I called up Steve Green, and next thing I know, that's when the first tour was booked. So overcoming that obstacle, I thought was pretty good. You know, we were just sitting there doing nothing. It's like nobody knew well, what do you mean we're going to do nothing? We better be doing something. Tour.
Yeah.
Let's go on tour. So that's how that came about. We used Steve Green for a while there, and then ended up with Mark from Ashley Street Talent, and he was good too. So yeah, there was an obstacle. Nothing happening, and I feel good about making something happen.
Well, actually, you know, the book is so there's plenty of stories that are fascinating, and all of them, you know, with a nice outcome. So, any possibility of a second book, Mark? So you mentioned something before. Can you go into details, please?
Yes, absolutely. I'm doing the addendum to let the cat out of the bag. I inadvertently had left a few cliffhangers in there. I still actually haven't read the book myself. I wrote it with Patrick, but I haven't read it yet for some reason. I think I'm ready to read it now, maybe. But anyway, I left a couple of cliffhangers in there inadvertently. One of them was about going to Peter's house in 2016, and that story, oh yeah, you guys are going to like it. There was I just, ooh, yeah.
Those memories.
There's some memories on that one for sure.
Oh my God.
It's not the best memory, but I can laugh now, and that's what's important. It is what it is. And I'm sure maybe someday in the future we'll do something together again. We'll see how that goes, But, I'm not the first guy to get axed when somebody gets married, A lot of times the good friends are not good friends anymore, And then there's Ed Cannon. You guys know him, right? Peter's Tech, all those KISS reunions and all the tours that we did. He kind of got the same treatment. Yeah, he was phased out. And okay, here's one story from the book that's coming up. It's pretty funny. And I get to Peter's, and we get down, sit at the table, having something to drink or bite to eat or something, and Gigi says to me, "Oh, tall man, we had to get rid of Ed. He was stealing from us." I'm like, "What? Ed? No, Iron Man? No, he wasn't. No, stealing? No. Yep, he backed a truck up to our house and stole paintings off the wall." What? Ed Cannon. We're talking about Ed Cannon, right? Right? No. Yep. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe it. Did you call the police? No, we didn't call the police. We figured the best way to get him back was to leave him out of the book. I know he didn't steal anything. I have similar experiences. When somebody gets together with somebody in a relationship, sometimes they're a little insecure, shall we say. I love that the couple times I've read about Paul, and in his book, I think there's one area where he says, yep, all of a sudden now Peter's with Gigi, and I would call down to his room. I never spoke to Peter Criss again. And then there was another one that I saw recently. He said, somebody asked him why he fired Peter Criss. He goes, I didn't fire Peter Criss, I fired Gigi. I gotta laugh at it. I'm a little vindicated because that's my experience as well. I mean, a lot of people like her. I mean, of course, not everybody gets along.
It is what it is. That's right. Yeah.
It is what it is. Yeah. So, and he's happy. So there you go. Yeah.
And you're happy, and that's what also matters.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We all need to be happy, man. We all need to band together now. Times are crazy, and this COVID, and now into the wars and all that. Here we go again, blah blah blah. We all need to raise our vibration and raise our frequency. Because check this out. I just I had a birthday a couple weeks ago, and in 21 years I'm going to be 80. 21 years I'm 80. So now's the time to have fun. Okay.
Oh man! In 16 years, I'm gonna be 70. Oh.
Yes.
What is this? A countdown?
A countdown. The final countdown.
I feel like it's because they tell the last 20 years. If I look back, man, it wasn't like that. What I hear from older people, they tell me this next 20 is going to go even faster.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so I'm just going to enjoy and feel good and choose how you feel. You know, don't let your environment dictate how you feel. You can choose how you feel, you know?
That is so true. Sometimes we tend to forget about that, but you have to choose how you feel. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, it's kind of like I remember, you know, you could be, you know, you're having an argument with somebody, your girlfriend or wife or whatever, and you're all getting heated up, and then the phone rings, and you're like, oh, hello. So you can do it, you know?
Yeah.
We can all choose.
Right.
We can definitely choose. So.
No, Mark, you know, talking to you right now, I'm starting to remember more and more why we get along. I mean, you think like we think alike. I totally 100% agree with that philosophy. 100%.
Absolutely. You know, and I saw some of your vacation online or whatever, and I guess you had some problems at the beginning when you got there, but I never seen you without a smile on your face.
Always.
Like, oh, well, we'll make the best. You know, and it was exactly what we're talking about, man.
You saw that. Thank you. So, Mark, I want to take a little bit of a different direction in this on this interview, and COVID didn't make things easy on the music industry, but what do you believe is the state of the music industry today for yourself, for example, as a musician?
Let's see here. Well, I'm certainly doing things that I want to do. You know, I'm doing projects that I'm interested in. I'm not. You know, it was a while ago that I figured instead of trying to catch up with the trend because. I was in some bands with Andy Parker from UFO and Bobby Barth from Axe. I was in Axe, a bit there. And we had label people telling us, oh, well, Bon Jovi just has the #1 single, so you got to write a song like that. So we'd write a song like that and then bring it to them, and they'd say, oh, no, Marilyn Manson's hot now. You got to write a song like that. And we were always behind when you try and do that. So I don't worry about what happens. I concern myself with, is what I'm doing feel good? Because if you're not feeling good, stop what you're doing and do something that makes you feel good. And when I get up in the morning, I'm excited. I'm ready to go. I want to play this music. Playing with Brandon Lofton is just, no one will ever know what he gives me. It's incredible what I get from him. And, all the stuff I'm doing, I want to do, I got these shows coming up. It's really not, it's just me and a acoustic guitar player. And we're just going to jam some, and who knows exactly what's going to happen. We'll find out. So I'm looking forward to that. And that's really, what I got. I'm always recording songs and for myself. And, so I wake up every day happy. 99% of the time I am happy. So.
Oh, that is fantastic.
Time a few weeks ago.
It's always the little things, eh?
Yeah.
So, this is a KISS podcast, so I have to ask, how do you feel about the current state of KISS right now?
Well, I'm sad that it would be the end of the road for those guys. I think they still sound great, play great. I saw a couple, videos online with them and their end of the road tour. I think they're great. I know there's, diehard, KISS Army fans that would rather have Peter and Ace, and that'd always be nice, and maybe they will get in there at the end or whatever, but the two guys that got in there, man, they're great. That's all I have to say. The band sounds great. They do. So, it is a different flavor. It can't be exactly as it was, but it can be what it is, and what it is very good. So, I think they're doing great. I'm down. Why are you stopping? I mean, the Stones are still going. Yeah,
and they're 105.
Yeah, they're 105, and there's only 2 of them left now. You know what I mean? But and that's funny too. I went to see last year. I saw Foreigner. There's not even an original member of Foreigner in Foreigner, but they
that's right.
Awesome. They were. I mean, Kelly Hansen on vocals. Forget about it. He sang longer in Foreigner than Lou Gramm. He's older than Lou Gramm ever was. He's 63 and still belting those high notes out. Salute. So, good stuff there, I'll tell you.
Look, I want to go back a little bit, back in time. So let me just say, one of the many great things about you is you always seem to be accessible to fans. And I'm And I'm living proof of that because during past Rockin New Bash back in 2016, I wasn't there in 2017, but 2016, I happened to be there with my daughter, and we met you, and you were kind of taking pictures and hugging her, and you were, your vibe was so cool, so positive, and we can't thank you enough. So, it's what do you remember about the fans' reception during 2016 and 2017 on past events? What do you remember about that?
I mean, the fans are the greatest. You guys, you thank me. I thank you guys. You guys are the ones that keep me, keep sponsoring me. You support me, and that's why I've always will be, accessible to any fans, because without you guys, I wouldn't be here. It's just that simple, And the reception at past Bash, are you kidding? It was incredible. I mean, you're always with open arms, and I always want to put my best foot forward for you guys. I always want to give my 100%, which I do. And I'm glad we got that cleared up with that video from the 2018 Bash. I'm sorry it took all this long to see it, but whatever. I mean, it does show that I care. I do care.
We only in my case, I only had the chance to meet you at one of the KISS related events. But let me just say that your bread and butter, does it come from KISS fans or non-KISS fans, or both?
It's a little of both. Okay, KISS has kept it going, the ride going. Fight for Fighting as well. Now, see, I didn't write any tunes in Fight for Fighting, and I just played bass on it. But I still get royalty checks from that big record, man. And that one came out 22 years ago. That's pretty good to still get paid from that one record, It's similar to KISS. The KISS fans, I mean, my name being in the KISS book, I figure that's why I keep, getting folks like you guys, fans or whatever, wanting to talk to me and hear what I have to say. So that's really, I mean, those two are really is what keeps me going, along with whatever else I'm doing on the side, just that blah, blah, blah. But those are the bread and butter, for sure.
There you go.
So unfortunately, the episode is almost over. But Mark, I really want to thank you for being on the show. As you said, we tried getting you on a couple of weeks ago, and you had technical difficulties. But you said, let's reschedule. I promise you something special. And boy, did you deliver with that beauty that you're carrying with you right now. And thank you so much for this interesting interview, this fun interview. More importantly, this positive and upbeat interview. It really is who you are, and I think it really came through on the show today.
Well, I thank you guys, man. Again, without you guys, I wouldn't be here. And just let's do it again. Let's get another bash going.
I agree with everything that Pasc just said. Mark, you're a lovable guy. It's been so long I hadn't seen you, so it's always nice to see you well and positive and doing great. Thank you for the stories. Thank you for sharing everything with us. I can't wait to see you again. Hopefully, we're going to go to the US and see you, or you're always welcome here in Montreal. So again, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you too, man. I mean, it's a pleasure talking to you guys. It's great.
And to the KISS Army, if you want to get involved with the KISS Army Nation podcast, send us your comments, questions, or ideas to talk to me at kissarmynationpodcast.com. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. And remember, never stop rocking. Mark, you want to show the fans how to rock?
Never stop rocking. podcast.
Woo!
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe on YouTube or follow us on Spotify, Automatic, iHeartRadio, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Don't forget to make yourself heard. Leave us a comment on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. See you all soon, Kiss Army.